Let's get down in the dirt with the Home Show Garden Pros.
Well, hello, Facebook. It's me, Danny Milliken, host of Home Show Garden Pros, a weekly gardening-focused radio show. Happens every Saturday on Sports Radio 610 in the morning, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So, great way for you to get up, listen to some gardening radio show, get motivated to get out there and garden. We have a collected group of experts that join me every week. They're also hosts. They do a great job. We call them co-op members because they're really the show. It's pretty awesome. So we do this rotation from experts from Buchanan State of Plants, Plants for All Seasons, Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens, Enchanted Forest and Enchanted Garden, and also Warren Southern Gardens and Kingwood Gardens up in Kingwood. So good stuff. This Saturday with me will be Anita Nelson from Nelson Nursery and Water Gardens and Sherry Hara from Plants for All Seasons right there off 249. Last week was Joey Linderman from the Enchanted Group. And, we just answer questions, answer a ton of gardening questions, and we really dig deep. Because from our perspective, it's all about the soil, all about the roots, and that's just as true when it comes from fruit trees to veggies to roses to lawns. Speaking of roses, I have with me Renee Cummings from the Houston Rose Society. Hey, Renee.
Hey, how are you?
Thanks for asking. I'm doing great here on Facebook with you. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. We sold our house and I've been gardening on the 12th floor in an apartment, and it's kind of a challenge, but I think I'm having some good luck. It's like terrace gardening, I guess. I don't know. We've had great weather up until now. So I'm rooting some roses for the new place.
Cool.
We saw them last time in those small containers and they rooted. And look,
that's right, yeah.
And I got blooms.
Oh, nice. Wow.
All of this. That's an old garden rose, and this one is Peggy Martin, which is like growing out of the pot already.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So I know I have two of those. I thought there would be room if I put them in that pot together, but I might have to separate them. They're getting huge.
That's a great climbing rose.
Oh, yeah, and it's a once bloomer. It's the Katrina rose, the one that was famous for coming out of the brackish water after the hurricane and blooming. And if it can survive that, it's a pretty hardy rose. Everybody has it as kind of the rose. It blooms once a year and it's beautiful.
Right, that's awesome. That is awesome. So you're up there on the 12th floor. By my math, that's 150 feet or so, maybe a little bit more. Do you ever grow coffee up there? I mean, at altitude, that's where you can grow it, right?
No, but you know what? I have all these roses and I have some herbs, and I'm growing lettuce and some basil.
Oh,
I just
nice.
planted it. It's just like spring greens lettuce. I planted it in a big pot. It's looking pretty good out there.
Well, that's wonderful.
But
that's great.
I got it in for the freeze. Can you see it? I think it's kind of cool.
It's coming in.
I know. I always had herbs in my other house, so I try and still have some here, but it's a challenge.
That is awesome. So every time I'm at the Houston Rose Society, I feel like y'all are giving stuff away. Like people are getting roses, they're getting soil, stuff like that. Will you tell people about the Houston Rose Society and,
Sure. It's $15 to join. You get an electronic newsletter, and the newsletter's worth the price. I bought a house a long time ago, and the lady had a rose garden. I was like, oh, my God, I'm working. She joined the Houston Rose Society, and the newsletter started showing up. And I really didn't have time to go to the meetings, but I learned a lot about Houston and roses from the newsletter. And then my kids got older, and I had time to go to a meeting, and then I was the president. And it's kind of fun. And I'm also in the American Rose Society.
That's so cool.
They have gardens in around Shreveport, Louisiana, and they're supposed to prune this weekend, but it got iced out or whatever because of weather, because it's going to be so cold.
Right. It is going to be so cold.
Late pruning this year. Yeah, late pruning this year, but I think that's better than taking a chance,
Yeah, for sure. So let's get to some rose advice on that. So when it comes to this freeze in your roses, better to wait a little bit than to cut them and snap back all your new growth.
Especially the ones at the rose garden, they're redoing it. So they're new roses. Older roses are a little more substantial. They can, sustain an early pruning and a freeze. But if you haven't cut them by now, I would just leave them alone until after the freeze. And I would cover them with like sheets. If you have like old sheets, 2 or 3 layers of old sheets, it's better. Don't put plastic on them.
Okay, that's a good word. Don't put plastic on them. So
no, just get them something they can breathe under, and they'll be fine. It's not going to be that cold. At first, they were saying it was going to be colder. Now it's going to be just a light freeze. Maybe snow up in Tyler County, but not here.
Oh, gosh.
We should be doing okay.
Well, good. Well, make sure, everybody, that you stay tuned to the weather if you're concerned about it, because, if it trends up or down, it may not be a crisis. But for sure, cover the plants that need covering. And a lot of them that are sensitive, luckily, we'll have a couple days of cold weather before it gets real cold, so they'll toughen up a little bit there. So, Renee, as you know, we like answering gardening questions here on Home Show Garden Pros. So much so that we have a button on our website that's just for that. It's called the Ask a Pro button. You click on that and you send us a question. So we've gleaned 4 questions, and we encourage people to put questions that they've got in kind of the chat box in the comment section on the Facebook Live, and we will try to answer your live questions there too. But I've prepared 4 questions for you. Shall we begin?
Okay, go.
Excellent. Question number 1 is from Malcolm. We have a large but sparse arborvitae in our front yard, which our neighborhood association requested to be trimmed. It is leaning forward after one of our tropical storms about 10 years or so, but still provides privacy from a floor-level window. We just aren't knowledgeable enough to know what is best to do with it. So what do you think they should do with this large arborvitae that's leaning over?
It sounds like the homeowners want it trimmed anyway, so we might as well do that. And I would see if I could stake it up, maybe with a long wooden stake on both sides to straighten it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And give it a good haircut.
So when you're doing the pruning, also do maybe a straighten up and get some posts in there. And
get some wooden posts. It should stand up.
Yeah, they make those arbor ties or even T-posts. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to go about it. The one thing when you're tying up any tree is you want to actually buy material that won't suffocate the tree. It won't tighten it too much. They make this stuff called arbor tie. That's really good for that. Or you can use pantyhose if you've still got some pantyhose left over. So you don't want to suffocate the tree. It can damage it. But that's a great thing to do with the arborvitae is just, straighten it up. So
sure.
I like that. Now, those plants don't like a lot of water. They don't really need a lot of fertilizer, but they can get top heavy. And if you think of like a ball and socket joint, they'll just tilt over. So.
Oh, yeah, and they'll fall over in a hurricane. You got to keep them trimmed.
Yep, absolutely.
Or if you lose them if you don't.
And they can handle quite a bit of trimming. You just want to, follow that up with some steady years of no trimming. So
the rule is 1/3, but I would trim it on the sides too. 1/3 on the top.
Yeah. I wonder what it's looking like. I can imagine it's leaning over and probably a lot of the stuff on.
It's going to be top heavy. If you just
for
got
sure.
the top off, it's going to be top heavy. You need to trim it, so it's back in proportion.
Yep. Awesome. Well, Malcolm,
They're hardy. It'll come back.
Yes, for sure. That is for sure. Malcolm, hope that helps. Great answer there, Renee. All right, question number 2. Here we go. This one's from Nell. Nell says, I have a huge iron wash pot full of oregano outside. The pot can't be moved. Should I just cut all the oregano this weekend and make a huge batch of pesto, or can it survive if we get temps in the 20s?
You can cut it, and you could also cut some and then put it on a clothespin, like by your vinegar. It'll dry out, and then you can have some dry oregano for later. But if you leave any of it, just cover it with a few blankets. It should be fine. If it burns on the end, just cut it off. It'll come right back.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because if it does die from the cold, it'll dry out, and you'll have dried oregano.
Yeah, it'll smell great.
So it's a great way to get dried oregano is just letting it freeze. Now, oregano, like you're saying, is pretty cold hardy. Sure. A lot of those Mediterranean herbs are known for liking the heat and also liking the cool a little bit. So, and now
freeze like just on the tips and just like kind of shave it off with your pruners. That's the best part. And then I'll give it a haircut anyway. It'll fill out.
Yeah, get a little bowl and shave it off, and then you'll have your dried oregano ready to use right there. Now, I've never made oregano pesto. Have you ever had oregano pesto?
No, but you know what? We used to have oregano in our garden, and we had a gas grill, and we would make pizza when the kids came over, and we would use that oregano.
Oh, that's awesome. Just sprinkle it on the pizza?
Yeah, you just turn on the gas like really full blast, and you can make pizzas.
Nice. I use it a lot, especially if I'm making like a bean dish or something like that. I like oregano a lot with beans.
Oh, yeah.
Good in chili also, if you're a chili eater.
It's good on baked chicken. It's kind of good. Makes it a little different.
Yeah. So I have had oregano, the same plant, for about 10 years, and it's actually growing in shade. And so it's very nice how it sticks around. I use it a lot, and it's growing really great. One of my favorite plants.
It's really hardy.
In fact, I might consider oregano to be a must-grow plant for Houston, Texas. What do you think about that?
It's an essential for every
Yes.
kitchen garden. The kitchen garden is the most important garden of the whole house anyway, but oregano, it's a must.
Wow, that from a
And
rosarian
it's so
too.
easy to grow. It's so easy to grow here. And let me tell you what else you can grow. A bay leaf tree. I used to have one that was like 6 feet tall
Wow.
from
Gosh.
Buchanan's, and it was like 2 feet tall when I bought it.
Well, that's great. I'm sure you got a lot of bay leaves from that.
Oh man. And then it kind of hung over the driveway. So my husband would trim it, and we had tons of bay leaves.
That's awesome. Yeah, I use bay
I
leaves
know,
a
it
lot
was
too.
nice. It was nice.
So cool. So cool. All right. Great answer there. Hope that helps Nell out. Question number 3. Here we go. This one's from Shay. So Shay, hey, that's my middle name. Huh. How funny. Shay asks, what are some good companion plants to go with roses? I heard rosemary was good and wanted to plant that. Well, it sounds like Shay already has an answer for us to their question. So what are some good companion plants to go with roses?
Rosemary's good, and I'll tell you why, because it's real airy. You know, it's not like a big flat leaf that blocks the air, and roses like circulation. So anything open like that, you can plant some fig leaf ivy or something on the ground in the back, like behind your roses, where it'll get more shade. But I just use mulch, like just barky mulch around most of my roses.
Yeah, you just kind of
I have some
mulch
bulbs.
it.
I have some bulbs in between one bed and the back, but I don't know. I think I'd be better off moving them.
Yeah.
They
yeah.
need more sun.
That is a big deal with roses, right? As they need more sun. So
Oh, yeah.
companion plant wise, we may consider things that like dry a little bit as being a good companion for a rose, because you can overwater roses pretty easy.
Oh yeah, and they all have to have good drainage. If you build your beds up like a turtle back, you get better results because your roses don't sit like down in the wet feet.
Gotcha. Oh, you know what might be a good companion plant is oregano.
Oh, oregano would be good.
Yeah, something
Probably
that's
any
ground
herb would
covering.
be good, you know. Yeah, it doesn't grow real deep. That'd be good.
Okay, nice. Well, Shay, hope that helps. You can also plant your rosemary. Sounds like you really are committed to that anyway. So I say go for it with the rosemary. I would encourage you to use a creeping variety because I don't really want a big bushy plant, getting around my roses and dominating the bed. So that's my only caveat with rosemary. So, all right, question number 4 for Renee. You're doing a great job, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
This one's from Bobby. Bobby says, I love good-smelling roses. Who doesn't, Bobby? But good-smelling roses are great. All right, could you please tell me some types that are good in Houston? Okay, yeah. And then also he says any smell-good plants would be appreciated. So what are some of the best for Houston good-smelling roses?
Number 1 is Maggie. It's an old garden rose. It's
Ooh.
magenta, and it blooms all the time. It's really, really hardy. And all the David Austin roses are heritage roses, and they all smell. I grew Charlene de Monaco in my last garden, and it won all the trials at Biltmore, including fragrance. And so I had to have it for my garden. It did not disappoint me. It's beautiful apricot, and it got real tall, like 6 feet tall, and I kind of let it go in the beginning. And as soon as I cut it, I got gigantic blooms.
Oh, wow. Is
So,
it a bushy?
Yeah, I'm going to have Charlene de Monaco again. It's a real showy rose, too. It's apricot.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'd like to get some of
Yeah.
those. That sounds like a really cool one. And who doesn't love a nice apricot rose? That color is incredible.
It swept the trials at Biltmore, and we were about to sell our house. And I was like, I can't believe I'm buying this rose bush. We're about to sell our house, but I did. And so I gave one to my friend, and she's like harboring it for me. So maybe I can get it back later.
Nice. Or get some cuttings. I mean, you're so talented at making those cuttings. I think
I'm sure
exciting.
I could get 6 or 8 more bushes shipped here, I'm planting a new garden. We're getting a farm, and I'm planting a new rose garden. So I'll have plenty of room for planting some Charlene de Monaco.
That is awesome. So 8 weeks ago, Renee was on here representing the Houston Rose Society, and she actually showed us some brand new cuttings that she had, like just put them in. She had just put the root starter on there and put them in the soil. And she showed us at the beginning examples of those cuttings. But if you don't mind showing us one more time the cuttings, and I really would encourage you guys to go back 8 weeks and check out them at their original stage.
This one's blooming. I'll find some pictures from the first one, put on my Facebook page. But look at this. Look, I have buds on all of these.
That's awesome.
And these have been growing on the patio. And this one, I mean, they're all like so hardy. I put them in bigger containers with potting soil. I potted them in vermiculite.
Oh, cool.
But now they're in potting soil. And they're all like coming along. I should have a nice hedge. You know,
yeah, that's so great.
When it's time to move in the cabin, I'll have some landscaping ready for it.
And those are all from your own cuttings that you did. I think that's so cool. And we did a little how-to.
I got them at the Texas Rose Rustlers, or a group of people that rustle old garden roses. And they had a cutting exchange. And I went with my friend Susan, and it was like in November, late October. And I just scored lots of stuff, and everything that was left over. They had a bunch of bulbs left over, and I got all of them. I got a white crinum lily. I got them all blooming in pots, ready to go to the farm.
So you mentioned potting soil, and that brings me to another question: what is in your opinion, a great potting soil for roses? And then what's your favorite rose fertilizer?
I use rose soil, and any brand will do. And this is what I use for fertilizer. Let me see if you can see it. It's Mills Magic.
Okay.
And I just got this delivered, believe it or not. I ordered it online, and it was $16.99, and it was free shipping. But it took a couple weeks to get here. But
now,
that's
where in Houston have you been able to find that?
You know what? They have it at Southwest Fertilizer. And they probably have it at Bearings. I don't buy rose stuff at Bearings, but they probably have it.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good to know that they've got that at Southwest Fertilizer. I'm a big fan of the Nature's Way Resources rose soil. That's one of my favorite soils for a lot of things.
When we built our house, the backyard was the parking lot. And as soon as they finished, actually, we renovated it. We scraped the ground and have it all filled in with rose soil, and it was the most fabulous yard. Anything would grow. It was great.
That is great. Yeah, Nature's Way is doing a good job. And I have cared for my Belinda's Dream mostly with the MicroLife acidifier soil in the pink bag.
Oh, yeah.
And it's done well. I keep forgetting about the rose, and I don't tend it. This year I'm going to tend it much better. So I use
Mills Magic, and I use Osmocote.
Oh, nice. Two good ones.
I mean, it's kind of a good thing, and I can put it on my herbs and everything in the yard, so it kind of makes a good thing. And my Belinda's Dream used to be at the entrance to my rose garden, and my husband would cut it every once in a while because it was like, blocking the entrance to the rose garden, and it would come back with like more blooms.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It was an incredible rose. And there's Belinda's Blush, which is a sport, and it's fabulous.
Cool.
It's a peachy white. It's really good. I had it in my last garden.
That does sound really nice, Belinda's Blush. Yeah, I have enjoyed cut flowers from Belinda's Dream. It's the only plant that I have in my landscape that's not a tree that was there when I moved in. So pretty awesome.
Every time we do a seminar at a place, somebody says, I want something by my pool. I want it to smell. I like pink. And I just sell Belinda's Dream all day long. And it's so easy. It's a no-care rose.
Yeah, that's wonderful. That's so great. Well, so cool. And it smells so good. Speaking of smelling plants, we have a great episode video with scratch and smell plants. So we're going to go to that now with Mary Nelson from Nelson Water Gardens and Nursery. Okay. Mary, let's talk scratch and smell plants. Mary from Nelson's is here to talk about scratch and sniff gardening. Got a lot of cool plants here. What you got?
I have, first off, wonderful cilantro. So I'm going to hand this to you. Okay. I want you to do a little scratch and sniff on that guy. Scratch and
sniff. So cilantro is an annual.
Cilantro is an annual. It's pretty much all about planting it at the right time. Cilantro is great for using in Mexican dishes.
Yeah, it smells like salsa.
Yes, smells like wonderful salsa. So I love this plant. It's super easy to grow.
That was nice. So we have these basils here.
Yes.
So
you're going to get a good sniff in on that guy.
Scratch and sniff. So why am I scratching this before smelling it?
Because it releases the oils in the leaf. and that's where you get that good heavy aroma from it.
That is so good.
Basils, you got to deadhead a lot of the
That's right.
basils, which is basically just getting rid of the seeding part.
Sure.
That way you get more leaves coming out of it, more production out of it.
And the more you can, even if you can beat the flower
Yes.
to the punch, then that's even better flavor that stays in the leaves.
That's true.
Now, one cool thing about Australian basil, right, barely even flowers at all.
Yeah, so that makes it a really good one for, novice gardeners. If you can't go out into your garden once a week, that's a really good one to have in there because you're not out there every day.
And then we got some grass.
That's lemongrass.
Oh, lemongrass.
Yeah,
Scratch
lemongrass.
and sniff time.
Scratch and sniff time. What does it smell like, Danny?
It smells like lemons.
I wonder why it's called lemongrass then.
Because it smells like lemon.
Yeah.
No.
So lemongrass is wonderful. It has medicinal purposes. You can, of course, cook with
that
it.
smells really good.
And it's great to just have an ornamental thing. Keeps away mosquitoes.
Oh, how tall will this get?
It'll get pretty tall. So I would say, it's going to top out 3-4 feet sometimes. Big thing with this one is about every 2 years, you're going to have to divide it.
Okay, yeah, just make little smaller clumps and get a
Yes.
few more lemongrasses.
Exactly.
One of our old favorites, rosemary. I know this one.
Yes, one of my personal favorites, rose and then Mary in there. So
Nice, yes.
rosemary is great. It just needs a really good, well-draining soil.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's going to be true for lavender as well.
Same thing for lavender. Get that soil, get a little bit of sand in there, or expanded shale. That'll let that moisture seep out of there. Keep
That's
those plants
awesome.
happy.
A lot of times these two, you don't want to plant them right by the house because it traps the humidity.
Yes.
So,
That's good.
well, what a great festival. So this is also a good way to get kids gardening.
Yes, it's a great way to get kids out there. I mean, my son's only 9 months old, and I had him out there yesterday with the cilantro. He took it in his hands and he put it up to his mouth and he ate it, but
Sure.
he still smelled it.
That's awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well, for more great info, go to HomeShowGardenPros.com. Great job, Mary. Wow, I can watch I will watch myself smell things all day long. That's fascinating. Who gets to do that? So those are some great scratch and smell plants, and I think lavender, to answer one of Shay's questions, might be a great companion plant for roses if you can find some space for them around there. So
Just
another
make
good
sure
option.
there's drainage for it. Just
Yes,
like
yeah.
roses, they don't like wet feet.
Don't like wet feet, but they're okay with dry ankles. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what that means. Renee, thanks so much for coming on and representing the
Thank
Houston
you.
Rose Society. You always do such a
was
great
fun.
job, and we're excited about seeing those roses in their huge bush form. So exciting
You'll
stuff.
follow the roses. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.
I love that. Yeah, follow the roses. It's like that could be the name of your autobiography.
That's a good idea. Thanks. Don't give me any more ideas. I'm stuck in from the pandemic. I might do that.
Oh yeah, you just write a book while you're there. That is awesome. Well, thanks again, and tune in
Thank
this
you.
week. Home Show Garden Pros. We will be live with Anita and Sherry, and we'll have some fun. We'll be talking this cold snap, and also a bunch of spring gardening is going to be coming up. Yeah, tune in. We'll see you there. See you later, Facebook.
Adios. Bye.